Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's topic of discussion is going to be doing your best. So, this is something that's been talked about hundreds of thousands, millions of times, right? You see it all over social media, and everybody says that, well, if you do your best, right, so you can't really fail. Even I said it in a previous video, right, that if you genuinely do your best, you can't possibly fail. And that's true to some extent, right? There's always the small chance that you fail, even if you do your best, right? If you genuinely give your all, there's still a small chance that you might actually end up failing. But one thing I do know for sure, right, is that if you look at all the people that succeeded and all the people that did something and made it, they all have this in common, right? The fact that they tried their best and they gave it their all and they took a bet, placed a bet on themselves, right? And took a gamble on themselves and they genuinely put themselves out there and try their best, right? They all have this in common. So the idea here is that you might not always succeed, right? If you genuinely try your best, but that's a very small percentage. But in order to succeed, you do need to try your best, right? And it's really quite intuitive, and there's two reasons why I think that doing your best is really extremely important in order to succeed. And they both reasons have to do with luck. Why do I say that? Because I feel like both reasons negate luck in some way, right? So the first reason why you want to do your best is because you don't rely on luck as much as somebody who doesn't do everything that they have to do. Or say, let's take the example of writing a test, right? So let's say you study for 8 out of the 10 topics you had to study for this exam. And the other two topics you generally know nothing about, right? So yeah, you did study for 80%, so to say, right? For 80% of the test. And you do have a chance of passing, right? But still, even so, you might make some mistakes in those about those 8 topics, right? You might get some questions wrong. And then you pretty much rely on luck to take you the to take you to help you pass the test, right? You rely on luck. Whereas somebody who studies for 100% of the exam, right, they might not get 100% on the exam, but they might get 80%, right? That's 20% wrong, but they still passed, right? Why? Because they gave it their all. They didn't rely on luck, they took luck into their own hands pretty much, right? And they negate the reliance on this need to get lucky, right? And the second reason why um the second way you can kind of negate luck, right, that I was talking about is simply by showing up, right? If you give it your all, you pretty much are guaranteed to be there all of the time, right? And you make a commitment to yourself and to your goals that you will show up and be there and do everything, right? If it takes multiple tries, you still continue doing your best, right? And every attempt is you give it your all, right? And let's take another example, right? For example, if you have a company, right, a business, right, and you need to make a sale and you go through 100 meetings, right, and you, I don't know, let's say you give even 100% of yourself to those meetings, right? And then you say, oh, you're going to do a 101st meeting, and you say, like, you think to yourself, ooh, what are the chances that this one works out, right? What's the possibility there? So you don't give it your all, right? And then you get out of there, get out of the meeting, and you think to yourself, maybe if I would have genuinely tried better, if I would have given it my all here, I would have actually succeeded, and I would have made a sale. Imagine that regret. Imagine that feeling that I could have done better. I could have. It's not that it was out of my knowledge spectrum. It wasn't that I didn't have the capabilities. I just got lazy. I just didn't do my best, even though I could have, right? And somebody who gave their all, right, even in the 101st meeting, actually got the sale, right? So you pretty much negate the need for luck, right? Because somebody could have gotten lucky and got the sale in their first meeting, right? But that's you can't do anything about it, right? Whereas somebody who goes for 100 meetings just has to hold on for one more, right? Maybe somebody has to go for 200 meetings, right? And then in perspective, right, in comparison, 100 meetings would look small, right, and would look kind of insignificant. So my point is, you can't ever slack. You can't say that maybe this time I'll just take a break, or because what if this next meeting, this next day is your day, right? What if you decide to not do something, right, and it ends up being extremely important, it ends up having the possibility to change your life, but you simply didn't do it, you simply got lazy, or whatever, right? So if you genuinely want to succeed, if you genuinely want to um become somebody, right, first of all, based on history, based on other people that have made it so far, you do need to give yourself, right, to you do need to give 100% of yourself, right, to these goals, to these ambitions. You have to let them eat you, pretty much. You have to let them consume you to a point where you embrace them fully, right, and your only vision is achieving these goals. And when you do so, you will definitely succeed, right? Because it's a matter of time. Is once again, for some people it might work out faster, right? But for you it might work out slower. But I can guarantee that as long as you keep pushing yourself, as long as you keep showing up, you will definitely, and I mean definitely, end up succeeding. It's very rare that people don't end up succeeding, and at the end of the day, it's way better to give it your all, right, and not succeed than not giving your all and still not succeeding, right? Because imagine same meeting. Imagine if you gave it your all, your genuine, like everything you had, right? Every skill you tried, every sales tactic that you know, right, and did the best you could do, and you still didn't get the sale, right? What happens then? You go home, you perfect some other things, right? Maybe you learn new techniques, new sale pitches, right? Maybe you improve your sales pitch. But at the end of the day, you can be proud of yourself, right? And you take pride in the fact that, okay, right, I gave it my all. These people, right? Maybe if I would have known more, maybe if I would have, I don't know, something, right? If something would have been different that was way out of my perception and way out of my possibilities at that time, right? Maybe it would have been better, but still, you take pride in the fact that you gave it your all, right? And compared to somebody who didn't give it their all, right? It's way different, right? If you still didn't get the sales, but you gave it your all, you're still going to be significantly more proud of yourself, and you will go home and improve on the things that you still have to improve, or whatever, right? But you will take pride and you will be happy with the fact that you did something, right, and you gave it all, right? So the whole idea, the whole thing I'm trying to send through here is that it's 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 important, it's really important to give it all, because you pretty much have the possibility and the chance to negate luck. And luck is, spontaneous. It doesn't come, it's you can't predict it. You don't know when it's going to be there and when it's not, right? But if you can negate it as much as possible, and you can take luck and this whole variable of luck into your own hands, right, and you can pretty much outwork it, right, then imagine how far you could go. So yeah, the bottom line here is doing your best will always matter, right? If you end up failing but you did your best, you'll still be miles ahead of somebody who still failed but didn't even do their best, right? So yeah, that was pretty much all I had to say for right now, and see you next time.